all the body language that is not in a positive way.
He just phenomenal athlete. It feels like he still has that lunch pail mentality a little bit.
Look away for 5 months and watch an entire empire burn. While Carlos Alcaraz sat trapped at home with a wrapped wrist, Sinner takes everything Alcaraz left behind. The #1 ranking, the Wimbledon crown, trophy after trophy, gone. No legendary on-court war, no headline-grabbing showdown, just a cold, calculated robbery while the tennis world stared at an empty chair. The ultimate thief? Jannik Sinner. If this high-stakes tennis drama is exactly what you live for, hit subscribe right now. Because the reality for Carlos is about to get much worse. Drop a comment below. When Alcaraz finally returns, is any of that throne actually still his? Or did Sinner just take it for keeps? 5. That is the exact number that should terrify every single Alcaraz fan. Sinner didn't just win, he executed a flawless sweep of the first 5 Masters 1000 events of this 2026 season. Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, Madrid, and Rome. Total, unmitigated dominance. Nobody in modern tennis history had ever swept the opening 5. Then, he strolled straight into the All England club, defended his title, beat Alexander Zverev from a set down, and walked away with his 5th Grand Slam. Back-to-back Wimbledon titles. All achieved while the former king couldn't even lift a racket to fight back. And the most chilling part? Rafael Nadal saw this exact collapse coming, and he said it out loud. This spring, the man who spent 20 years acting as the ultimate human roadblock admitted the ugly truth. The tour has plenty of champions, but it has 0 contenders. Nobody is pushing them, nobody is stopping them. When Rafa Nadal tells you the door is wide open, you believe him. But nobody's stopping him is the soft, media-friendly version of this disaster. Sinner didn't just borrow these titles. He took the ranking, the trophies, the physical territory, and the entire legacy Alcaraz bled for, dismantling it piece by piece while Carlos was flat on his back. One dark question turns this from a sad story into a terrifying reality. What if there is absolutely nothing left for the king to come home to? Let's open the vault, every single asset left behind, and the exact hands holding them right now. Rewind 6 months first, because you can't measure the fall without the height. In February, Carlos Alcaraz completed the career Grand Slam at the Australian Open, the youngest man in history to win all 4 majors. He opened 2026 on a 16-match win streak, stacked the title in Doha, and looked flat-out untouchable. 7 slams at 23 years old, world #1, the sport belonged to him. Then the wrist happened. First, the ranking. For a stretch of 2025, the top of the game was Carlos's, the youngest king in the sport, clawing his way to #1. Then April 2026 arrived, Sinner beat him in the Monte Carlo final and took the top spot back. That was the last time these two shared a court. Days later, Alcaraz's wrist gave out, and Sinner didn't just hold #1, he ran with it. Today he sits nearly 5,000 points clear, on track to finish the year at #1 for the 2nd time. And Carlos didn't even keep second. Zverev's run to the Wimbledon final knocked him down to #3. That's not a lead, that's a canyon. Wimbledon went the same way, only crueler. Last year, Sinner won his first title there by beating Alcaraz in the final. A brutal flip after Carlos had broken his heart at Roland Garros weeks before. This year, Alcaraz wasn't even in the draw. Sinner cruised to the final, dropped the opening set to Zverev, then took the next 3. 5th Grand Slam. Back-to-back on the most famous court on earth, his 100th career Grand Slam match win, and only the 10th man ever to defend the Wimbledon crown. The trophy Carlos lifted in 2023 and 2024 has a new owner, and he never got one swing at defending it. The Masters are where it stops being a story and starts being a horror show. Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, Madrid, Rome. Sinner won all 5 to open the season, the first player in the history of the Masters 1000 series to sweep the first 5 events of a year. Along the way, he bagged the Sunshine Double, Indian Wells, and Miami back-to-back, and became just the 3rd man ever, after Djokovic and Nadal, to win 4 straight Masters titles. In Rome, he completed the career Golden Masters. Every one of those 9 crowns collected at least once. The clay swing that used to be Alcaraz country, the dirt where Carlos built his legend. Sinner walked in and carried out the furniture. Then there's the big titles lead. Back on the 1st of February, right after Alcaraz won the Australian Open, Carlos led that race 15-11. Slams, Masters, the year-end finals, the trophies that define an era. Since that day, Sinner's won 6 of the next 7. The gap didn't just close, it flipped. 3 years of Carlos stacking silverware, undone in 5 months. Line them up and it looks final. The ranking gone, Wimbledon gone, the Masters swept, the big titles lead flipped. And a legend in Rafael Nadal, on the record, saying nobody out there is even trying to stop it. That's the case everyone's making. It falls apart the second you check the fine print. Start with Nadal because his words are carrying that whole narrative. Go back and read what he actually said. He never said Sinner is burying Alcaraz. He said the tour has no contenders, aimed at the entire field behind the top 2. And in the same breath, again and again, Nadal has backed Carlos. He wanted him to finish the career Grand Slam. Asked point blank by a broadcaster whether Sinner or Alcaraz could become the greatest ever, he pointed to Djokovic's numbers and said the future would decide. No anointing of Sinner, no writing off Carlos. He calls them a duo, 2 players defining a generation, not a takeover. Between them, Sinner and Alcaraz have taken 12 of the last 16 majors. The exact duopoly Nadal was pointing at, not a Sinner solo act. So the man everyone's quoting to bury Alcaraz is one of the loudest voices betting on him. That's not a footnote, that's the whole frame cracking. Look at what Sinner didn't take, the head-to-head. Through every title and every ranking point, Alcaraz still leads their rivalry, 10 wins to 7. Last year, the two of them split all 4 majors and played 3 straight Grand Slam finals in a single season. The first pair in the Open era to do it. When these two stand on the same court, Carlos wins more than he loses. Sinner took the throne, he never took the man. And Sinner's no untouchable machine. Roland Garros this year? Second round. Out early, on the dirt, right before Wimbledon. The Australian Open? Djokovic beat him. A 38-year-old Djokovic. The guy supposedly stopping everyone got stopped twice this season by players who weren't even ranked above him when they did it. Consider the injury itself because it reframes the whole gap. On April 14th, a routine return in Barcelona, Alcaraz's right wrist gave out, an inflamed tendon sheath, the longest layoff of his career, and no firm return date. Not even Carlos knows when he's back. Nearly 5,000 points sounds like another universe, but a huge slice of it only exists because he wasn't there to defend his own. Defending champion in Rome, defending finalist in Paris, a mountain of points from last season sitting on the table, and one that wouldn't let him protect a single point. You don't lose a ranking like that by getting beaten. You lose it by not being allowed to play. That's not a changing of the guard, that's an asterisk with a calendar attached. Because look at what's waiting. Alcaraz is the defending champion at the Cincinnati Masters and the US Open, the next 2 big stops on the schedule. And here's the twist that should keep Sinner up at night. Carlos beat him in both of those finals last year. Cincinnati, where Sinner retired, hurt down 5-love. The US Open, where Alcaraz won in 4. Sinner's got nearly 2,000 points to defend at each, against the one man who owns him when a big trophy's on the line. The wrist that cost Carlos everything is the only thing between him and a full reclamation tour. Sinner didn't win a war. He raided an empty castle while the king was in the hospital wing. So the throne's occupied, the trophies wear a new name. On paper, it's a wipeout. But an empire taken while the rivals hurt isn't conquered, it's borrowed, and the lease ends the day that wrist is cleared to swing. Lay it all out one last time. Number 1 ranking, Sinner's by nearly 5,000 points. Wimbledon, defended, back-to-back, 5th slam. The first 5 Masters of the season, swept, something no one had ever done. The big titles lead Carlos held in February, flipped. On paper, the cleanest heist tennis has seen in years. But paper doesn't play the matches, and the fine print tells another story. Alcaraz still leads the head-to-head. Sinner still lost at Roland Garros, still lost to Djokovic in Melbourne. That mountain of ranking points is mostly Carlos's own trophies, sitting undefended, because an injury wouldn't let him show up. Nadal never said Sinner beat Alcaraz. He said nobody's challenging the top, then spent every other breath backing Carlos to come roaring back. Here's what's real. The next two big stops are Cincinnati and the US Open, and Alcaraz is defending champion at both, the same two finals he beat Sinner in a year ago. Every point he lost, every title Sinner's holding, all of it sits right there waiting, the moment that wrist says yes. The throne isn't lost, it's on loan, and the guy it belongs to is coming to collect. If you made it this far, you already get what this channel does. The real story under the headline, told straight. Do me a favor and subscribe so the next one finds you. Then settle this in the comments and be specific. Put a date on it. Name the exact tournament Carlos Alcaraz takes it all back. Cincinnati, the US Open, somewhere down the road, or make the case he never does, that this is Sinner's era now, and it's not going back. Call it. I'm reading every single one.